Let's put that genie back in the bottle.
Paints with the colors of the wind, bitch.
It's time for 2 finger point.
Power daddy.
Our shoes are in the pond.
Extra magic hours, which we in turn called extra tragic hours.
People call him the naked mole rat.
Did you really just 2 finger point?
Here are your hosts, Amber and Kylie.
Hey everyone, welcome to 2 Finger Point. I'm Kylie.
I'm Amber.
And we're going to do something a little different this week. Normally we just talk about Disney news and just tangent off into conversation. But we have been wanting to do an episode like this for a while now. And we've gotten in a flow. So we're going to try something different. And we're going to be discussing Disney conspiracy theories and urban legends.
Bow, 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 bow.
So I will let Amber go ahead and take the first one.
All right. So I feel like if we're going to kick it off with some urban legends and conspiracies, we got to go with the most well-known one, which is that Walt Disney is cryogenically frozen underneath one of the parks at Disney. There's a lot of different conspiracy stories. It changes depending on kind of where you are. I've heard that some say he was frozen under the Pirates of the Caribbean ride in Disneyland. And then, the main one is that everyone says he's frozen underneath Cinderella's castle, which is the one I heard when we were at Disney, mostly because we were at Disney World. And working at Magic Kingdom, I actually had some cast members even tell me, because we would walk under the park under the Utilidor, they would say he was frozen somewhere in a restricted area there that no one could get to.
I remember hearing the castle rumor too. Do you believe this?
I don't know if I fully believe it, but it just seems kind of fun to believe. People, I was reading articles and that debunked it and said that he was actually cremated, and that there's actually a place where they did spread his ashes, and so they actually have a marker for where that was. I want to believe this. I think this is fun. I think it's interesting. They say it was his head, right? So that they can eventually bring him back to life, and he can keep flowing and being top Disney dog with new creative idea. I don't remember exactly what the other half of the story was.
Yeah, I saw. So I always thought it was just him, not specifically just his head. How would that work to just freeze a head and then what? Are you going to sew it onto someone else's body?
Well, because isn't there a whole thing where people are preserving their brains? They're trying to do that so that people can bank their memories. Isn't that a new AI thing we're trying to do now or something?
Oh, I didn't know that.
So that it could be kind of related to that, but that would mean he was way ahead of his time, because that was the 60s?
Yeah, something like that, because it was Disney World opened in 75 and he passed before it opened.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's interesting. It would be interesting to find out that he actually was frozen under there. I think that's why I kind of want to hold on to it, because it's if it actually does happen, it's see, I told you so.
Yeah. If you could be maybe frozen or just cremated or however you want, buried on Disney property, where would you want it to be?
Ooh. I think for me, it would actually be Disneyland's Sleeping Beauty Castle.
I should have known that.
Frozen.
I should have known that.
What about you?
Probably Haunted Mansion. It's my second favorite ride, and I think that'd be a cool place to be, the crypt.
That would be cool too. Or even Pirates could be really fun to kind of just be spooky into, just to kind of screw with people.
I thought about that. I was Haunted Mansion might be even more relevant. But yeah, I love Pirates. Love me some Pirates.
Oh, you could show up in the mirror and people would just think you're part of the ride.
Yeah. There we go.
That'd be cool. All right. What's our next one?
Okay, so this one, I think we've talked about this on the podcast. So no one has ever died at Disneyland, or so that's the rumor. So no one's ever been legally declared dead on Disney property. There have been some cases where people have incidents there, but they're taken off the Disney property um, to wherever, like in an ambulance, and then they're declared dead once they're off Disney property.
I've heard this too. Yeah. I know it's not full. I mean, I feel like this one is definitely not fully true because we know of a few incidents specifically. But yeah, I have heard that they do try to make it a point to, if there is an incident, remove that incident before it becomes a death on Disney property.
Right. And so I was doing some research, and according to Snopes, there have actually been 3 cases of deaths discovered. There was a case with 4 deaths involved. And then there was a cast member in 2018 who was killed after being flipped or pinned by a cart from a ride.
Oof.
And that was at the Caribbean Beach Resort.
Jeez.
And then we all remember the little boy who got eaten by the alligator, right?
Yeah, I remember this story.
So that was on Disney property, right? Or is
Mhm.
that technically not because it's in the water?
I mean, they are really good with semantics. So, because it was it a resort or was it a park they were at? I can't
It was
remember
a resort. I can't
because I
remember
think
which one,
oh, it
but
was.
yeah,
I feel like they somehow, because it wasn't actual like Disney park property, they probably were like, oh, that wasn't actually at Disney.
that's what I'm wondering.
Um, but I actually did some research on this too, and I read about these 2 brothers in 1973. So they both stayed on Tom Sawyer Island after the park closed. Um,
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
I want to do that.
Well, maybe not, because then afterwards they tried to swim back across the river, like of the Americas, and the younger brother was on the back of the older brother, and the older brother actually drowned. And they found the younger brother the next day just doggy paddling around in the river.
Oh my gosh.
So that's a little bit terrifying.
Yeah. Why didn't he swim instead of ride on his brother's back?
Well, because apparently he could, right? Doggy paddling. This is why I feel like this one is kind of not that true. Because it's like if he could doggy paddle, couldn't he get across
Yeah,
somewhere?
just doggy paddle forward.
Because what? But I guess how could you get up, right? Because if everything's closed off and you're just stuck in the river, you can't go anywhere. You
That's
can't get
true.
up to. Well, I don't know. I guess I don't know what it looks like on the edges. I can't remember.
I don't know though. I think camping out on Tom Sawyer Island could be fun.
That could be right. I mean, the idea, yes, maybe just stay there until the park opens again because
Yeah,
they were in an off limit area and they could have just camped out, like you said, and then the next day could have just gone back across like they were already there
hop
with
on a
everybody.
ferry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never heard that story before.
Yeah, that one was circulating on Reddit when I did some research. There was another one that said that some kids during graduation night stole the ferry and got stuck under some kind of emergency paddle boat or whatever. Because I don't know,
Oh,
something with that. Yeah, so I don't know if they actually passed away from that one, but that one was in the 80s and this one was in the 70s. So it was like 10 years later.
seeing my dad was being naughty, so I guess it was a different time in the 70s at Disney.
It looks like they learned a lot from those kids because we are on tight leashes now.
Yeah, really. Okay, so you want to take the next one?
Sure. Okay, so this one is called The Hanging on Small World. And this one was where the ride came to a sudden stop and everyone was told to get off and use emergency exits. And actually, some people even had to walk through the water to get off the ride. And from what I remember from this story is they weren't telling everyone what was going on. They were kind of blocking them in so they couldn't see what was around them. But this one woman actually turned around and looked up and she saw something hanging from the rafters of the ride and she took a picture. And it's a pretty grainy picture from what I remember.
I mean, it's pretty clear what you see. It looks like there's a child in a clown costume hanging from the rafters.
Oh, maybe I saw a different picture that wasn't as good as this one because I never saw this clown picture.
Oh, you didn't? It's pretty
Uh-uh.
terrifying. But I did find when I was looking up this for more details, someone kind of debunked it and said that it was one of the puppets that goes on a zip line, and that's where it's stored. But normally the lights are down, so you can't see it normally. It was the only thing in the photo though, so there's not like there's other animatronics up there. So I don't know. We'll put the picture up on Instagram with our um, episode post so you guys can see and be the judge of it. It's a little interesting.
And we know how Disney loves a cover up, so it's really hard to say, you know?
Yeah, and it's kind of weird because it clearly is not an adult.
Mhm.
How would a child get up there
Ooh,
or think to do that?
that's a
It,
good point too.
it's weird.
That's a good point. Yeah. How could it, unless somehow a kid just got up there and maybe like they got wrapped around something and they just fell? That's the
Possibly.
only way I could think that that would make sense.
Yeah, maybe. And the clown costume's weird too.
Yeah, that's so sketchy.
Speaking of weird things on rides, the Pirates of the Caribbean, there's a lot of history with this one. Um, so pirates used to have real bones in the ride. They were donated from UCLA, from science research. They just gave them to Disney, and those were the bones you saw on the ride. And then once people found out about that, they freaked out. And so Disney replaced them with all fake bones. But there are rumors that there's still a skull visible. And there are some real bones scattered throughout the ride.
Ooh. It's a little bit creepy, but at the same time, these are people who have donated their bodies, right? Their bodies to science or to, medical research or whatever. So if they're getting donated and I don't know, I feel like that's okay, right? I guess it almost kind of would add to the eeriness. Maybe they would come and like haunt the ride and make it a little bit spookier. It could be fun.
Possibly.
What's your morality on this? Do you think it's like a bad moral or you think like where do you stand on it? Because I'm still kind of teetering.
Oh, when you bring up morality, I guess it's kind of like what does the person want
Yeah.
with their body? If they wanted to donate it purely for scientific reasons so that medical findings can be found to help other people, then it's kind of disrespectful. But if they thought it was cool, then fine. As far as being a person on the ride, I guess I don't care. They're not in the boat with me,
Yeah.
so it's not too big of a deal.
Yeah, I think my stance is kind of where you are. If as long as we're not disrespecting the actual person and what they wanted, with their body itself, I think I don't care as much. It's not affecting me per
Yeah.
se.
Yeah, and like, is that skull, like, do they know the name of the person on the skull, or is it just a prop for them? How
I
it's
feel
being
like
treated?
yeah, good point. And maybe not skulls. Maybe that's where we draw the limit, right? Maybe it's like we can have some like arm bones, some leg bones, but maybe not the skull. I feel like that might be a little bit too personal. Maybe get some props for that.
I mean, I wouldn't mind my skull sitting in there after I've lived my life, of course.
Okay, fair enough.
I think it'd be kind of legendary.
Maybe. Yeah. I guess it just all goes back to the respect of the person. If they're with
Yeah,
it, then okay.
yeah.
Okay, speaking of pirates though, they pirates actually has a ghost named George. So the story goes that he was a construction worker that was building the ride. And during construction, it's unknown if he fell off of a ladder or if he was knocked off by a giant object, but he was ultimately killed during the construction of the ride. So basically, in the burning scene of the ride is George's tower that they've essentially like dedicated to him, right? And it's
Yeah.
got his initials. Oh, they attempted to remove them and they always reappear. Oh, interesting. Um, and then upon the ride opening, an older woman was asked to ride the ride and appeared very sad. While on the ride, she began sobbing, and as one could guess, that was George's mother.
Oh,
I know. So sad. They say George is not evil, but more of a mischievous ghost. The myth goes that if cast members do not greet George with a good morning when they come in or a farewell upon closing, things tend to go awry. Those are the days the ride is constantly malfunctioning. There is also activity near the well-known prison dog scene. If you can see the indication by checking the light on his tower. Oh,
I love that scene too. So
the dog one?
yeah, that's like one of my favorite parts of the ride.
I remember that one so vividly too. So it's so funny because I immediately I saw the image in my head of that part.
With the keys in his mouth and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And them just whistling at him.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Oh, reports of women feeling pats on their head, taps on the shoulder, and even pats on the bum to
Oh my
turn around and
gosh.
see nothing. So George is a friendly, maybe,
A little
guy's
too
guy.
friendly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing he's not like evil. And
Yeah.
it's just he's just trying to have fun.
He's don't pat my bum, George.
I know. I'm glad I've never encountered George.
I have not, but I did hear about the how they had to say good hello and goodbye or things did go bad. You'd hear like at Magic Kingdom some days, oh, they didn't say hello to George. Things are going wrong today.
Oh, okay. I was curious from your point of view because I obviously didn't work in that park, but
Yeah, you would hear it would circulate the park. It was kind of funny. You would just know that it was going bad that day because something would break down and oh, they didn't say hello to George.
that's so funny. Oh, it's so interesting how each park has its own little things.
Right? Just little stories that have come up across the years. I mean, who knows what they're even going to have for this time? What kind of urban creepy conspiracy is going to come out of like this part of the 2000s?
Seriously. Back in the 90s or like the 70s to the 90s, there was this park called Discovery Island.
Mm,
Have you heard of it?
I have.
So it's really interesting. So it started out with like a pirate's theme, and then eventually they changed it over to being more of like a bird viewing area. They had over 150 species of exotic birds. Then when they opened up Animal Kingdom in 99, people really stopped going. So they ultimately shut the park down, or at least that's what people conspire is the reason they shut it down.
Mhm.
And it actually sits in ruins now, and it's still there. Um, and it's very creepy. And you can actually see it on YouTube. There's a YouTuber, Matt Swanza, and he snuck and took a boat out there one time. And this was a few years back. I remember when this happened because he got arrested and his girlfriend was like protesting for him. But he went out there and he was vlogging. I want to say he was out there for like 2 or 3 days. And
Oh,
yeah, and he was vlogging the whole time. And it was just really eerie. It's just this deserted island. And of course, Disney officials came on site when they saw his boat and they were searching for him for a long time. And in the videos, there's like footage of him, like, oh, they're right there. I'm trying to be quiet. So
my
you can see what it looks like by looking him up.
I think I will. Yeah, I'll have to check that out because I'm curious about this. This I feel like is what kind of sparked people talking about Discovery Island again because I remember people were whispering about it recently in the past few years. So I guess his YouTube docuseries of being there is reigniting people to kind of
Yeah.
to look up Discovery Island.
I wonder why they just leave it sitting there because it's wasted space. How cool is it? Hop on a boat, go to an island that's ran by Disney, and then come back and go back to your park exploration.
I know, and I mean, I'm surprised that they scrapped it because it's ultimate because this was over in Florida, right? So this would
Yeah.
have been like their version of Tom Sawyer Island, essentially.
Oh,
But
that's a
just
good point too. I didn't even think about that.
so it's kind of funny or strange that they decided to scrap it because they could have just changed it into something else a little bit instead of more animal-esque. They could have tweaked it and done like a jungle-esque island.
Yeah.
Look at me giving Disney ideas.
We signed those papers. All of
Ugh.
our ideas are theirs.
Oof. I guess that still rings true because they're still holding on to that little sliver of my soul. Speaking of other closed Disney parks, we have River Country. So this was another Disney park that mysteriously closed, and it was a water park, actually.
I've read some creepypastas about this one.
I think so too. I can't remember if it was this one or Discovery Island. I think I might have read both, honestly, which is
Uh,
why I think I remember about Discovery because I read some creepypastas.
Yeah, people get into that stuff. We should do a creepypasta episode.
We really should, because honestly, some of those stories get me until the end when they tell me they're fake. Sometimes I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
no way. And then they're like, this was fake. I'm like, oh, they got me.
yeah, but they're good,
I love it. And sometimes I scare myself and I'm like, okay, I got to turn the light on. I can't sleep right now.
right?
Okay, back to River Country. So it was a water park that was mysteriously closed. And blogger Shane Perez, he actually snuck onto the grounds of what was formerly known as River Country, and he reported on his findings from there. So he included photos of preserved snakes in jars and baby vultures who were not friendly.
Yeah, I saw the
Ooh.
photos of these. Yeah, it was like, like the jars with the water and like the snake was floating around in there. And everything, of course, mind you, is like in these dark abandoned buildings. And then there was like a nest of vultures. It was
Oh
freaky.
my God. Jesus. Yeah. So Disney was not happy with his presence there at all. Obviously, as you can guess, they don't want to see him finding baby vultures and snakes in jars. So they threatened to ban him and his friends permanently from Disney and all the Disney parks. And
Not
what
shocking.
as Disney does. What I read when I did some research on this park is allegedly the music still plays over the loudspeakers there.
I've heard that too.
Creepy? Ugh.
I want, oh, it makes me want to just like sneak in to go investigate, but I don't want to get in trouble.
I know. I'm like, why do you guys have all these good like theories and all these abandoned parks if you don't want people to go exploring? Like you're leaving it there to be explored.
Right.
Sorry. All right, we can get a little bit lighter with it. What's our next urban legend or creepy conspiracy?
Okay, so it is well known that Walt Disney had an apartment above the fire station in Disneyland on Main Street. And when he was there, he would turn on this specific lamp that sat by the window. And that way everyone could see Walt was there. Well, obviously he passed, but the apartment still stays there and it's maintained by a housekeeping team. And there was this particular housekeeper who went in and noticed that the lamp was on. So she just thought something happened, maybe someone bumped it, whatever. She turns it off. She leaves to go get more cleaning supplies or whatever, comes back, and the light's on again. So it is believed that Walt still stays there, and there have been other people that have reported being in the apartment and hear a whisper in Walt's voice saying, "I'm still here." And so, yeah, that's the legend that Walt haunts that apartment and he's still watching over Disneyland. And if you ever see that light on above the fire station, Walt's there.
I like that. That's not so scary. It's almost like it's very heartwarming and it's kind of nice to see that he's still there and kind of watching over the parks and like it's just a nice feel good moment, I think.
Yeah, I think Walt is one of those people. He just did so much to bring happiness to people and that little touch of magic. So it almost only makes sense that he's still there in spirit.
Exactly. It's like his own little preserved bit of magic left in Disney.
Yeah.
I
That
like
talk
that.
about leaving a legacy.
Literally, right? I like that. I want to leave a legacy like that behind.
Right?
But that's cute. Now I have to check that out. I've heard this and I knew this, but every time I go to the park, I always forget to check. So now I've got to remember, check for Walt, check for Walt.
Yeah. If we ever go at night, we're gonna have to look for that light.
I love that. I mean, not to be a Debbie Downer, but I am going to bring up our last conspiracy urban legend, and it's a little bit not so nice, but whatever. Maybe it's more of a warning, if anything. So,
Oh.
so the story goes that someone stood up on the Space Mountain ride and was decapitated.
Oh,
And so the story is a panicked guest stood up while riding Space Mountain. He was struck by a low-hanging metal ridge, and he arrived back to the station with his head missing.
that's terrifying.
Totally.
But how does that happen? Because aren't your feet dangling in that ride? Isn't it one where you sit and the straps come over your shoulders? Or am I?
Um, I thought you said, I'm trying to remember. I think you sit in like now I gotta look it up because I
Oh,
really
is it
don't
like a
remember.
cart?
I think so.
Yeah, it's been almost a decade for me, so don't mind me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's like a spaceship, and so it's just like one big thing, and it's got. I guess you sit two
Oh
people.
yeah, I
Yeah,
could have sworn you sat two. Wow,
yeah,
I
yeah.
really don't remember this ride apparently.
You
Okay,
would think that I would remember considering I've ridden the one at Disneyland more recently, but it's like I guess you don't think about it when you get on the ride, you just get on and go. Well, yeah, because you couldn't be dangling, I guess, with the way that that goes. But yeah, you're sitting in the cart, so I guess he stood up from the ride and was decapitated. And people say that this was a debunked theory as well because they say that it's a story that cast members like to circulate around just whenever they get to ride the ride with the lights on, or even when guests get to ride it with the lights on. And it's meant to deter children from standing up in the ride, basically.
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
But I
shouldn't the
mean,
safety features prevent that?
you would think, and I mean, you said you rode Space Mountain with the lights on, right?
Yeah, I
So
0 out of 10 recommend. Never do it. It just ruins it for you every other time you're gonna ride it.
would you say that this is more likely to like have been a possibility? It's like less far-fetched just based on knowing what you know with the way that the ride is kind of like I mean, maybe he wasn't decapitated, like, but I mean, it's a
I
possibility, right?
I don't know if I believe this just because if that's the case, there's something seriously wrong with the safety features of the ride.
Okay. So you think if he were to have stood up, that something would have stopped immediately, wouldn't have even had that
Well,
opportunity.
you have to have at least a bar over your legs, right? There's got to be some sort
Yeah,
of
there is.
lock.
There's something.
Yeah.
Okay, so he wouldn't have really been able to stand up. Okay, I see what you're saying.
But I know that you can get decapitated because when I was talking about Justin Bieber going on that ride and refusing to get off, it's because that part where it goes from the end of the ride back to the beginning to pick up the new batch of people that will decapitate you.
Ooh.
So,
Okay, so
yeah.
okay, so then debunked, probably not a true story, but definitely a cautionary tale to deter people from trying to get too wild on that ride. Because,
it's
as Kylie said, it's pretty terrifying with
it's
the lights on.
yeah, and this story is pretty eerie.
Yeah, can you imagine? That's where, I mean, he came back without a head. That's the part that kind of, it's like, I get that doesn't make sense, but I feel like something, I don't know,
I
maybe
feel
not.
like they would have stopped the ride, not just keep going. Like there's so
Would,
many safety things on these rides. Does it
and
say
you,
what year this happened?
I didn't even look into it actually. Let me click on the, let's see, it says,
No, there's no year, so
mm-mm.
I don't know.
Probably not. Yeah, ideally speaking, you're probably right. And can you imagine, like, because like we said when we looked at the way that they sit on the ride, it's either two people next to each other or one person. Like, you think a bunch of people aren't going to be freaking out with a guy without his head.
Right.
It's not like you're by yourself. So that, yeah, okay, debunked. I don't know. I got too crazy with that one. See, even I can be swayed sometimes.
But that's the thing though, working at Disney, you hear all these stories and it's, what do I believe? What do I not believe?
Yeah. And
S-
you never know. Like I said, based on like just kind of thinking about how you had ridden rides or how what we know with the insider backstage stuff, it kind of makes it a little bit more believable, some of these.
Yeah. So you guys have the inside scoop of what we were told while we worked there.
We should do this again. I want to dig deeper and see, like, I wonder if we could find people who actually have heard some stories, some more recent ones in their like college program or cast members recently. If any of you guys are listening, definitely hit up our website and let us know so we can hear some of these more recent conspiracy or urban legends that you guys are hearing.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to do another episode, so we'd love to have your submissions.
I think it could be fun.
Yeah.
It's just I love this stuff. I mean, like the we definitely have to do a creepypasta episode and we can just read those stories. We'll just have to read them. Okay, anyway. Okay, so I found a few quizzes that we can close out with. I think could be fun.
Okay.
So here's the 3 we can choose. So there's 6 distinct types of Disney adults. Here's which one you are. That's the first one.
Ooh.
Design your villain era and discover which villain tune is your perfect theme song.
Oh my gosh.
And then there's a Would You Rather Disney edition, which that one's just there, but I feel like the first ones.
That's where I'm at too. I'm kind of leaning towards the villain.
Okay, good.
We did kind of a spooky episode, so we'll go with the villains.
Okay. That was what I was hoping to, because I was like, I saw that and I was like, that's perfect. All right. First, choose your baddie outfit. And for audio listeners, the first one is a black dress with a fur cheetah leopard jacket.
It's
The second-
very like uptown New York.
Yeah, almost Cruella de Vil-esque, if you
Yeah.
would. Yeah. Second one, jeans and just a tank. Third, like gothy, I guess.
Goth, yeah.
Yeah, just like a black shirt with some flowers on it. And then the third one is a velvet velour skirt kind of wraparound thing with a like tube top-esque shirt. I mean, how would you describe that?
It's like that, but I would also say it gives like a bohemian vibe.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, so which one to pick?
Your baddie outfit. Okay. So this is like
Oh,
what
baddie. Okay.
yeah. Hmm.
If I'm going for a baddie vibe, I'm probably gonna go with the Cruella de Vil-esque one, I think. I feel like bohemian's more of my everyday look, but we'll dress it up.
Okay, that's so interesting because I was actually going to go bohemian. I feel like this I don't know, actually. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to stick with that. Something about the free flowing makes me feel like a badass. Like I can just like throw
Yeah.
up my skirt and be like out of here.
Okay, the next one is choose a color combo. We have white and black, red and gold, blue and black, or green and gray.
Ooh.
Oh, I love blue, but I think for a villain, I want to go with green and gray. I think that's very villainy.
That's so funny. I agree. Yeah, green and gray. All right. Next question. Select your layer. Castle, beach house, it's a secret location, and a swamp hut.
I'm probably going to go with the secret location.
I think so
It's
too.
the only right answer, right?
I feel like, right? Like it could be a castle and a secret location.
That too. But what villain is going to live in a beach house?
Not even Ursula wants to live in a beach house, I don't think.
Yeah.
Okay.
The decorative theme. So we have antlers everywhere, iridescence and seashells, dark magic, or skull and bones.
I feel like we're going to have the same answer for this one.
Dark magic?
Yeah.
Yeah. As much as I love the iridescence and seashells, I
Ooh.
think that's my protagonist vibe, not my antagonist vibe. So we gotta go with the dark magic.
Well, I feel like it says decorate with the dark magic, and then you can have the iridescence as like your secondary. You can have both.
I guess. I feel like that's more my princess look though.
I feel what you're saying. Yeah. We're going for dark and eerie here. All right. Choose a bedroom. So there's like a dark bedroom with dark purple and blues, kind of neon-y.
It's like your Gen Z bedroom with all the LED lights.
Yeah. Second is a very light and breezy beachy room. It's got like the, beach picture with the waves and all the whites and blues. Very nautical.
Yeah.
Third is a very regal kind of royal bedroom. It's got golds and is that like a dark maroon?
I think so.
Yeah, very, very regal. And then the last one, very urban, kind of Brooklyn style, uh, just like a basic bed with a lamp and kind of bluish, black, what would you say, like basic primary color tones with like some blacks and golds.
Yeah, I think Brooklyn was a good description. That's where I feel I'm looking at,
Yeah.
like a Brooklyn apartment.
Which one are you picking?
I think I'm gonna have to go with the Royal Victorian looking one.
Okay. I'm going Gen Z. I like the LED lights and
Okay.
all that. I'm very, very neon like that.
Okay, so it says now a kitchen. So the first one is very earthy. You've got some stone structures, lots of pots and pans hanging. The second one, it looks kind of witchy. It's got a lot of like potion jars around and a Victorian window. The third one is very sleek and modern, like very IKEA, minimal stuff on the counter. And then the third one, it's overlooking the ocean. It just looks very simple. Um, I don't even know how you would describe the chairs. They look like something you'd see at the mall.
Yeah, it's kind of got this like bistro type
There we go.
style inside though, and kind of
Yeah,
overlooking the water.
that's a good way to put it, bistro. So what are
That's what
you
the
going
chair.
for?
Oh, see, it's hard. So I think I'm gonna go with the potion one for my villain because typical me would go for the IKEA style one, but that's not my villain. That's not my villain story. That's not the villain arc. I got to go with the potions. I need a place to create.
Same, same, same.
Okay, the living room. So the first one, this one's very, I would say, very hippie boho. It's got like a hanging what do you call that, hammock, books, just kind of tapestry stuff going on. Second one is just a dark room with a glowing fireplace. And it also they're enjoying wine in front of it. Okay. I thought they were doing spells for a second, but that's probably what I'm doing after I have a couple glasses of wine anyway. Third one is just a couch with like a cactus pillow and just like some plants, just very basic, simple. And then the last one is like a family style room. You can see there's like some kids' chairs, like a shark chair, some toys. Um, it's a lot bigger, kind of, yeah, we're more of a family style home.
Yeah, I agree.
What would you pick?
Oh, the fireplace for
Right?
sure.
I
Like
mean, they're
it just,
drinking.
they look like villains.
They look like they're plotting their next like story. They're drinking wine. I mean,
Exactly. Definitely going with that one. Okay, so add some artwork for your wall. The first one is just a painting of water like the ocean. The second one is a wall full of masks.
uh,
And then the third one, uh, it's an image of Red Rock, um, Northern Arizona, Utah vibes, the canyons, kind of like Zion or Sedona. And then the fourth one is a painting of a war scene. So what are you going with, Amber?
hmm. I feel like the Red Rocks. I'm gonna go Red Rocks.
Okay. I've been
What
to
about you?
I've been to that side of the planet a couple times since it's not too far from me, so I have like positive memories with that. So it's not too
Okay.
villainous for me. And then obviously the ocean's so calming. But I really don't like the mask and the war scene.
I know. I really so water and I are not BFFs, but I don't think it's going to start my villain scene. Whereas I feel like the way that they have this kind of red rock looking up, I feel like it's I don't know, something about it just feels villainy,
Yeah.
but I'm creeped out by the masks like you are. I can tell you're creeped out. And
Yeah.
the war scene, I mean, unless
Both
it,
of those are taking me, even though I've never been there, but I've heard so much about it. The Denver airport, like both of these are making me feel like I'm there and I don't want to be there.
yes, you're so right.
I might just go with the water.
Okay.
We're just
Yeah,
gonna go
because
with water.
I don't even know what these are. Like, okay. Poison of choice. Coffee, milk, tea, or lemonade.
Ooh. So does that mean what we're gonna poison others with?
Or is it like or maybe it's like what we like to drink.
Okay. Hmm. I think
This
I'm gonna
one's
have to go with tea.
Yeah, I was gonna say this one's tough for me. I do drink a lot of tea, but I do drink some coffee, but I think I drink more tea. And that boba also is reminding me that boba is also a tea. Tea.
Oh man. The next one.
I know, I'm looking at it. Oh,
Okay, so villainous snack. We have cookies of evil, soul food, boiled egg, or skewers and dip.
First of all, I'm hungry. So I want all of it. But I think I'm gonna go with soul food. I'm from the South. I like some good soul food, some good Southern food. Count me in all day.
Oh, my like sugar addiction is like telling me cookies of evil, but I think I'm gonna go with the skewers and dip because you can change that up.
Yeah, I was like, skewers and dip. That sounds actually really good. Okay, your minion of evil, a horse, a cat, koi fish, or a lizard.
Koi fish?
Koi fish? They're like the most nice fish ever. Oh, okay. I'm going with cat because I'm a hardcore cat lover. What say you?
I think, yeah, I'm gonna go with horse. I'm just gonna switch it up.
Oh, that's
I
different.
I haven't been around too many horses, but I just cannot click with cats. They don't like me. I don't understand them. So I'm gonna go with a horse.
And a lizard feels aggressive.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind lizards. Actually, it's kind of funny. Uh, During our DCP, we were all at somebody's apartment one time and a lizard got in. And I remember this girl from Texas, so she was like the Southern Belle of the group, on the couch screaming her head off. And I'm like, it's fine. And here I am, the Arizona girl. I'm like, somebody get me 2 cups. And so I just grabbed 2 cups, caught it, and took it outside.
What was she freaking out about? It's not like even the lizards are the ones to be worried
I
about. And
know.
she's from Texas. She
Yeah.
has way worse things to be afraid of.
That's what I was thinking. I was so confused by it. But yeah, we got the lizard out. If it was like a rat or a roach, different story. But
I
it
was
was just a
just gonna say,
lizard.
no, I was just gonna say too, because when my mom lived in San Antonio, she said that the roaches were the problem. And
Mhm.
they're bigger than lizards. So I can't imagine her being afraid of a lizard when you had cockroaches that were like, I don't know, the size of like a normal cell phone now.
They're that big?
They were big, some of them.
Oh my gosh. No, thank you.
Uh-huh. So shout out to Texas. Okay, last question. Last choice. Choose a diabolical destination. Paris, a half underwater hotel, the deep South US.
Oh my gosh.
Ah, a safari. I mean, honestly, the deep South is diabolical, y'all. But I'm not going back. You can't make me. Hmm.
I kind of want to go for the half underwater hotel.
Okay, I have this like fear of drowning or just like not being able to breathe with the whole water thing. I'm gonna go Paris because I really don't want to get eaten by the lions in the safari. I'm not trying to drown, and you can't pay me to go back to the south.
Ooh. So your layers in Paris.
My layer isn't, and I can speak a little bit French. We have listeners in France too, so
Shout out France
bonjour.
and Canada. Bonjour.
Oh my gosh,
So we got the same result, shocker. Do you want to read it?
sure. So our song is Be Prepared from The Lion King. You should watch your back while still enjoying your villain era, of course. Sips tea.
How
That
do you
sounds-
feel? How do you feel about that?
I feel like that's pretty accurate. I could get that.
You know what's funny? So yesterday at work, and the listeners don't know what I do. I am essentially an event and marketing person for a homeowners association. And we had a grand opening for one of our parks that just opened. And the play structure for the kids is dinosaur themed. And the main little feature there is a climbing structure that's shaped like the skeleton of a dinosaur. And not everyone's happy about it. They would rather the traditional, even though there's 20 parks that have that already. I was saying, literally last night, I was saying, like, if I had that when I was a kid, I would be up in that. Like, that would be my cave. You have to have the password to come in. Like, I'd be having so much fun in that. And that's the song I was thinking, like, just climbing on it, singing Be Prepared.
Oh my God. That's so it ends up that this was pretty accurate.
Yes.
That's funny. I like that. Yeah. And Scar, he's hiding behind the green smoke in this.
Oh,
Just-
yeah,
it-
we picked green.
We sure did. It just feels right.
Yeah. I do like that song. I don't like Scar, but I like that song.
Yeah. I like the picture though. He definitely looks like he's ready to do something, but yeah. But was Scar the actual villain? I think he was in this situation. He killed his
Yeah.
brother. He
was
can't come
pretty-
back.
He was pretty evil.
We want to do a villain discussion, maybe a watch party. We want to see if some of the villains were actually, mistreated or misrepresented based on their stories. Scar, unfortunately, I don't think he's going to make the cut on that one. You can't kill your brother and then, you can't come back from that.
But we definitely should do a little deep dive. Maybe we'll do some YouTube videos, so some bonus content on that.
Yeah. So if anyone has any ideas of any good, villain arcs or villain stories that we should rewatch, let us know. Comment here, Instagram, wherever, and let us know what your thoughts are.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining us this week. If you don't mind subscribing so you can catch us every week when we drop our episodes on Tuesdays, it's already downloaded to your device. And if you could give us a rating and a review and follow us on social media, we're Two Finger Point Podcast, and the number 2 is spelled out, TWO. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. You can connect with us on Instagram and TikTok by following Two Finger Point Podcast. That's the number 2 spelled out, TWO, Finger Point Podcast. If you'd like to hear your story, have a question, or even be a guest on the podcast, visit twofingerpointpodcast.com and click on our contact page. We'll see you next week for Two Finger Point Tuesday, but until then, have a magical day.